Hey guys, so I did not make a video last weekend because we were celebrating my now 2-year-old's birthday. And that leads me to what today's video topic is about, which is it is my C-section story. So I'm going to tell you guys why I had a C-section, what to expect if you're going to have a C-section, and also what to expect for the recovery process. Okay, so first let me start by saying that having a C-section has been a fear of mine since I was a child. I was always afraid of having to have a C-section whenever I grew up. Any surgery in general to me makes me feel kind of faint, particularly abdominal surgery. So always been a fear of mine, and through all 3 of my pregnancies, I spent the whole time being like, oh my God, what if I ever have to have a C-section? And I was always told, no, you're fine, don't worry, Well, this time with my third, basically, there's like other factors here that led up to this of like why I was in the hospital in the first place. So if you want, I can also do a video on preeclampsia and stuff like that. But for the purpose of this story, this video, which is purely about C-sections, I'm not going to go into why I was in the hospital in the first place. I'm just going to start at the point that they realized I needed a C-section. Okay, so I was 37 weeks and I was in the hospital. And I was at 9 centimeters. I was fully expecting to have a normal vaginal delivery, and that's what the team thought as well. But one of the nurses checked me to see how far I had been dilated, because the last time that she had checked, I was at an 8. So she checked again and she said, oh no, I feel a hand. So I didn't think that was a big deal at all. I just thought, okay, so we're going to be having the baby soon. Yay, But apparently what they need to feel is a head first. And she was just feeling a hand. And so she said, I'm going to get the doctor back in here to see if she can put the arm back. So I was thinking, okay, I don't see why that's a problem, but all right, whatever. So the doctor comes back and she successfully gets my son's hand back in. She said that basically, she said the reason that I'm trying to get his hand back in is because it wouldn't be safe for him to come out. Like he would break his collarbones or something like that. So she said, but it is a blessing that his hand was out, because otherwise I wouldn't have known that his umbilical cord is around his neck and it is too short for me to cut. Apparently sometimes if the baby's cord is around their neck, then the doctor is able to unwind it while they're still in you, unwind it, or to tie it off and cut it. And she wasn't able to do either because it was too short. She said, and so I was kind of processing that for a second, and I realized that she was on a walkie-talkie at the time, and I heard her say, prep OR1, and, operating room. And I was just like, oh no, now I realize what she's saying. There's no safe way for him to come out, so that means I have to have a C-section. I started hyperventilating, even though I really tried to stay calm. I started hyperventilating. My husband saw, he had known that this was a big fear of mine, so he came over and, he started kissing me and stroking my hair and everything and telling me, he's like, you got this, you're a rock star, you're a badass, you got this, you're gonna be fine, don't even worry, But of course I was hyperventilating. There was like 10 women in the room all of a sudden. They're getting me all ready. There's doctors and nurses everywhere, getting everything prepared. And my husband couldn't come with me because we had brought my daughter. My daughter is, at the time, she was 5.5, yeah, and she wanted to witness the birth, and we were going to allow her to do that. But you can't bring a child into the operating room. And a lot of people might judge me for that, but my husband and I do not have family. We both estranged ourselves from our families. So, we just didn't really have any connections with people or anything like that. There wasn't anybody close enough that we trusted to watch our kids or whatever. My son, he actually just went to his dad's overnight. He happened to be at his dad's at that time, and that just worked out. But my daughter, we didn't have anywhere to take her. We didn't have anybody to take her off our hands for a couple of hours. And also, it was an emergency, so couldn't really, So my husband didn't get to go in with me, and the anesthesiologist, she came in, she gave me like a little plastic shot glass of something. She said, just take it like a shot. It tastes disgusting, but this is to keep you from throwing up. So I did. And then I said, I need some sort of medicine. I was like, I'm freaking out. I'm really freaking out, you know? And she was like, I know, I see. And then they're wheeling me into an operating room. And I said again, I was like, I need something. I'm freaking out. She was like, I already put it in your IV, so you're going to feel it soon. And so I did calm down some because, you know, I guess they didn't give me a whole lot, but I did feel a difference whenever the medicine was in my system. So I did calm down. So if you are freaking out during, you know, prep for the C-section, whatever, they will give you like a sedative. They might give it to you either way because it is really scary. You're awake for this whole thing. They didn't give me a general anesthesia or anything like that. So I was awake and aware, and I had anxiety. And I think it's probably something that they're always prepared to do. So it calmed me down, took the edge off. And I think that if I had known that I was going into a C-section, I probably would have had more time to, like, I don't think I would have had a panic attack. So, and I think that next time I have a child, if I do have to have a C-section, it's like, I know what to expect and I know everything's going to be okay. And I probably won't have a panic attack. We'll see. But if you have been scheduled, if your doctor has told you that you're going to be having a C-section, you know, really just take the time to, like, you know, before the date comes, to just really meditate on it and help yourself understand that it's going to be okay. I mean, they do this all the time. I think it's like 1/3 of all births are C-sections, so they really know what they're doing. But if you do happen to panic, that's a completely normal response to having surgery, I think. So, yeah, they gave me something and it calmed me down. I was still worried and freaking out a little bit, but I was way calmer, way more zen. So, so they have me in there, whatever, and they like moved me from like the bed that I was on. They like lifted me and put me onto the table, whatever. They did have to, and I can be like claustrophobic, so this was really scary for me. They tied my hands down. I didn't really feel the restraints, but they had to tie my hands down because apparently your body's natural response, like if your abdomen is cut open, your body will naturally, like, it's an involuntary movement basically, that your hands will go to cover your stomach. I'm guessing that's like if somebody slashed you or something, or an animal slashed you, it's probably some sort of evolutionary thing where you would basically hold your guts in. And so they said that's the reason why. And when they were getting ready to do this, I was like saying, please do not, please, I don't want my hands tied down. I've always been afraid of this because I heard about it in a video before and I was scared. And they were like, well, no, we really have to do it. And they're like, we can try, but I'm telling you, as soon as your hands start moving, we're tying them down. I was like, okay. And I just told myself, I'm not going to move my hands, but my hands did apparently move towards my stomach. So they tied them down. So that was really interesting. A little interesting fact to learn about the human body. It's very interesting like that. But I kind of got ahead of myself. So let me tell you about the process of how they numb you. Okay. So, I guess they put something in my IV to like numb me or whatever. I already had an epidural started because I had started out in labor. One of the reasons that I highly recommend an epidural is because in an emergency, it's also faster, quicker, safer for them to get you into, so that you won't have to be under general anesthesia, if you end up needing a C-section. So, yeah, they put something like straight into my epidural, and so they were able to numb me up pretty fast. So to test it, they took what felt like a pen or a pen cap or whatever and poked around on my stomach. So they poked like towards this like top, like the bottom of my ribs, and then like down to like my pubic bone, and they just kept asking me where I felt it. They did that several times, and I would just answer yes or no if I could feel it and stuff. And then they got to a point where they kept poking me, and I was like, no, I don't feel it. I didn't realize that you're doing it. So then they started doing something else where they're touching me. I was like, I think I feel your hand, but I'm not sure. And she was like, she's ready. So I was like, oh, what does that mean? So I looked at the anesthesiologist, and she was just like, yeah, she shocked you with what I don't know what it is, but she said she shocked me. Basically, they shock your stomach to see if you can feel it, because it would be extremely painful. Like there'd be no way that you would not react to the pain. So, so that's how they knew that I was numb enough for them to begin the incision. So yeah, they started doing it and everything, and I was just talking to the anesthesiologist because my husband couldn't be in there. The anesthesiologist stayed. She sat in the little daddy chair, you know, and basically she just kept my mind off of things. She was super nice. She was like grandmotherly. It was really nice. And she was so calming. So it's like, I feel like she did a better job of calming me down than even the medication had. But she was just like, so is it a boy or a girl? And then I said, it's a boy. And then she was like, oh, do you have a name picked out for him? And I was like, yeah. So I told her the name. And she's like, who do you think he's going to look like, you know? And then pretty soon she was like, get ready for that new baby smell. And I was just like, okay. So I was just like excited. And it was like, she helped me keep my eye on the prize. So, I don't know exactly, because whenever you're like medicated, drugged a little bit, your sense of time might be skewed. So I'm not exactly sure how much time passed. It felt like only like a few minutes, but I asked her, I was like, so what are they doing? She's like, oh, they're through all your muscles and everything now. Baby's about to come out. So then all of a sudden I heard the doctor at the other end of the blue paper. She said, the little blue paper curtain they put up over your stomach. And she was like, it's a boy. Congratulations. He looks great. And she held him up. And she just kind of held him up over the curtain. I didn't get a good look at him at first, you know, because, you know, they have to like go, you know, clean them up and everything. Do whatever it is that they need to do. So, and he wasn't like really crying. He was just like making like noises. It sounded like he was like making comments. It was funny. He was just like, well, and like he just kept making noises like that. And so I thought that was funny. And I was really excited. So I saw them, like a nurse like took him around to like a little area off to the side or whatever. And they were, you know, cleaning him up, warming him up and everything like that, doing what they do, put a little diaper on him, wrapped him up for me while, you know, the doctor, the surgeon was, you know, closing me up. So, so she was working on that and they brought the baby over to me. A different nurse sat down beside my head with the baby and, you know, I kissed him and stuff like that. And she showed me his hair because I asked if he had a lot of hair. She's like, yep, he's got a lot of dark hair. So she showed me, she's like, we got to keep his hat on because that's policy, you know, so they don't get too cold, but you know, you can check it out. So I looked at it and gave him a kiss. And it was funny because when she like lifted up his hat, his ear was completely bent over on itself. And I was like, what's wrong with his ear? And she's like, oh no, that all babies, like their ears just like, they're so soft that they just like bend like that. And she's like, see? And she just like flattened it back out. But I thought that was so funny. And his ear was completely bent, completely down like against his face. And then she just was like, bloop, and patted it back down again. And then she was sitting there for a while and then she goes, oh no, somebody has to go get dad. And this other nurse, whatever, she ran out to like go tell my husband that I'm out of surgery, we're fine, everything like that. So, and later my husband told me that he'd been sitting there for like 3 hours and he was like freaking out because he thought that something went wrong. I didn't think that much time had actually passed, but apparently after the surgery, I had been hemorrhaging for a little bit, so they had to get that under control. So I became like really, they also put something in my IV, and I was like just totally out of it, like so high. So like somebody else was holding my baby for me. Like the nurse was holding the baby for me, but I was like calm or whatever. And then like the next thing I knew, they took me to this area and I forget what it was called. It was some sort of special triage. It was for people who had just gotten out of surgery. Like, so they'd been on anesthesia or whatever. So they monitor your vitals for like an hour and stuff like that. So it's specialized. So I was just like in there, like I barely remember them. They kind of rolled me over and I was holding my baby. And, I remember seeing a pink curtain open and my husband was standing there with a big smile and my daughter was like, mommy, she was so happy. And they came in, they sat down beside me and my husband held the baby. I was worried about holding the baby because I was worried about dropping him. So my husband held the baby like the whole time. My daughter stroked his hair and, you know, played those little fingers and toes and stuff like that. And he didn't really cry. He did nurse once. And then they had these things on my legs. They're basically for preventing blood clots, and it kind of feels like a massage mat or something, but it's like around both of your, like there's one around each of your legs and it like squeezes and then lets go and it does that. It's pretty comfortable and comforting actually, but yeah, it's to prevent blood clots after surgery. So that's something I had never heard of before. That was another like interesting fact I learned along the way. And then they moved us, after about an hour of being in there, they moved us to a recovery room. So now I'm going to talk to you about the recovery. The recovery was extremely rough. I would not wish this pain on anybody, man. It is so bad. Basically my insurance covered for me to be there for 4 days after a C-section. So, and I wish that I would have had just one more day of like the good medication, the good pain medicine. But I do appreciate and understand why they couldn't give me medicine, or basically like they gave me the really good pain medicine for a day or so. But if I could have had it for one more day, that would have been ideal, because the second or third day in the hospital was excruciating pain. I'll get to that in a second. But another thing that I had never learned about C-sections was whenever any kind of abdominal surgery, when they open you up, air gets trapped inside of your body. And it takes a long time for that air to break down and leave your body. So you have painful gas and it gets stuck, and it's just like your whole back just hurts so bad. Like a lot of times, apparently it gets stuck right up here and it hurt so bad, so uncomfortable for me. But you know what worked amazing was they kept making sure they gave me dimethicone, you know, the gas, is that what it's called? Dimethicone? I don't know. It's a gas medicine. So they gave that to me regularly, and that always helped. I could always tell when it was time for another one, you know. So yeah, be prepared for that. And then the other thing was ask for this right away. If I knew about this, I would have asked for this hours before. So if it happens to me next time, then I'll know to ask. There's this like, it almost looks like a massage pad, like mat that you lay down, whatever, massage pad. But they put it over like the back of your hospital bed so that it goes all along your back. And it fills up with hot water, and the water goes up and it goes down. It's almost like, it's like a water massager. Yeah. So that helped so much. It made a huge difference for me, an enormous difference for me. So if you have a C-section, if you have any surgery, ask for that. As soon as you get into recovery, ask for one. So because I went through hours of feeling that gas pain, and it hurt so bad, it would just be right here, like in my back, and there was nothing I could do for it. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what that was. I was scared. Like at first I thought I was having a heart attack, because it would be like trapped in my chest, you know? So that also like gave me anxiety. I had this wonderful nurse named Tiffany, and when I explained it to her, and I was explaining the pain to her, she was like, oh, let's gas. Like, I know exactly what to do for you. Okay. She took great care of me. She was my favorite. So yeah, that's one thing that I never thought about. Another thing is, because you've had surgery, they don't want you to eat. You can't eat until you make a bowel movement. I forget what the reasoning was for that. I think it's in case they have to open you up again or something like that. So I was like really hungry, but I was on a liquid diet for most of that day. Oh wait, no, it's you have to fart. That's what it is. You have to fart, and they take your word for it. But you definitely want to make sure that you fart, that you're able to fart before you can have solid food. So for my first 2 meals, I had hot chicken broth, hot beef broth, Jello, and I forget what else. But it was good, but I definitely wanted something more hearty. So then after I farted and I told her about it, then I got to have a full meal, and it was like chicken and all that, you know. So, and then my husband also went out and got me something to eat. I think it was Chick-fil-A or something. So yeah, so I didn't know about that. That you wouldn't be able to eat solid food until you fart. But the process was extremely painful. And if you're gonna have abdominal surgery, particularly a C-section, one thing I highly recommend, something I'm gonna make sure that I have, like next time I get pregnant, I'm gonna have one just in case. A recliner. Okay? The only way that you're gonna be able to sleep or sit comfortably at all for like 2 weeks is if you're at an incline like this. So basically, when I would be laying straight down, I wouldn't be able to get myself back up. Laying on my side was out of the question. And just getting out of bed was so hard. it was like impossible. Like there were times where I broke down crying because I was in so much pain, and then the crying would hurt. I mean, I can't even tell you how extremely painful it is. For like 2 weeks, the pain was just like unbearable. But, you know, and after that I was still sore. In fact, my incision to this day, and this is 2 years later, still is tender at times if I touch it. But it's not just like painful for no reason all the time anymore like it used to be. I was not able to work out until, like, I did not feel ready to work out until like maybe 4 months after. Yeah, so I mean, it's everybody's recovery is a little bit different. Some people are like, you know, working out 2 weeks later. No, there was none of that for me. Yeah, I had a very long recovery time. My oldest son is peeking through that, and it just like scared me all of a sudden. But anyway, yeah, it was extremely painful, and I had to be on like pain medication, like Tylenol and stuff like that, just like Tylenol and stuff like that constantly for like 2 months. It was really bad. But definitely want to get a recliner chair. You definitely want to make sure you have Tylenol and stuff like that. And then also, you just have to really take it easy. You really, really do. It's really serious that you have to take it easy. I will do another video about preeclampsia and stuff like that, basically what led up to me being in the hospital early in the first place. Speaking up for yourself during pregnancy, doctor visits, and I'm also going to do one about vaginal delivery recovery. I've got lots of tips for that too, because I've done 2 successful vaginal deliveries. Okay, well, that's all for this video. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them. Just let me know what they are in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.